Well, hello. It's Tony here from Wild Spider Designs. Welcome to Flocktober. Right, I'm very excited because obviously this is my first YouTube live and it's our first Flocktober live as well. And I thought it'd be really fun to do lots of projects involving flock. And I thought we'd start off with this absolutely gorgeous flocked sunflower, which, I know summer's kind of over, but I think we all need a bit of brighten up now. The weather's gone a little bit grey and a bit dull. So shall we get started? So first off, I have pre-cut a few things, but I will show you how I've done it. I have used a cutting machine for this, but I know that a lot of you do have dies and sunflower dies and normal flower dies, and you can use flock to make a lot of very, very gorgeous flowers. But like I said, we're doing a nice sunflower today. So I've just gone ahead and cut the card blank. I'll tell you what I have forgotten. I've forgotten to do the nice white piece of card there, but we can do that in a moment. So now I've distracted myself with my first mistake. I'm going to show you how to pop the sticky roll onto the card that I used to cut out the sunflower on my cutting machine. So I used a Cricut for this particular one, but I do have a Brother Scan and Cut. I also have a Silhouette. So any cutting machine you've got, electronic cutting machine, you can use that with your sticky roll. So first off, we're going to get our sticky roll out. And we're going to unwind it onto the mat. There we go. And this is how you cover your card with sticky roll. So the best way to do it is to unwind your roll onto your mat and place your card directly down onto your roll. Now this just makes it the easiest way to do it. So each roll has a natural resting point, which mine is just, there we go, it's found it. So you just pop your card straight down, and then you don't have to be all fingers and thumbs trying to put your sticky roll down onto your card. You should always do it the other way around. It makes it much easier. So just smooth it down. Take your craft knife and just cut along the side. Wind that up and then just trim the other side. There we go, nice and easy. Now that bit I'll probably just pop in the bin, but that bit, that's a nice sentiment sized piece. So I'm just going to pop that back on my roll, and that'll be something we use later. So just pop that in the bin. Now take something to burnish your sticky roll down onto your card. So as you can see, I've got a nice foam folder. But you can use a ruler or the side of the pen, whatever you've got to hand. Now that's ready to either run through your die cutting machine or your electronic cutting machine. As I said, I've done that, and you can see there's sticky roll just on that side. So I'll show you how to peel that off in a moment. But I can actually use this as a nice piece. I'll cut that to size and pop it on the front of the card there. So the easiest way to take the sticky roll liner off flowers, I find, especially with flowers, is not to try and pick it there, because it just tears, and it's nice to try and get it off in one piece if you can. Not necessary. I'm going to try and do it in two pieces here. Like I say, this is just to show you a way of doing it without too much faff. So take your craft knife and literally cut through the liner. So there's no magical pressure, just don't go all the way through the card. Then if you just give it a little burnish there, that makes it easier to lift the liner. Then we just pop the liner up there, and then peel away, and then that should give you a nice base to lift the petals off as well. There we go. So I can see that that bit is torn there, but that's fine. Just pop your knife under the liner and just peel that off. And I find this is the best way to do it with flowers with a lot of petals, or with snowflakes as well. So they can be quite tricky to try and pick all the pieces along. It's better to take the middle section and pull out to the narrower sections. So again, we'll just lift this section up here. So when I'm doing the narrower sections like that, I literally just take my knife and just flick the liner, and then that just picks it up and gives us a nice edge to lift. There we go. Set it nice and slowly so you can see what I'm doing. There we go. And that's all off. Now don't worry if you do get your fingers stuck on there. It's not going to diminish the stick in any way. I'll just pop that in the bin. Now we get to apply some flock. Oh, I tell you what, I have forgotten to do it in my nervousness. What we want to do is keep a little section in the middle there covered, because we want to stick the centre of the sunflower down. And while we've got all that lovely exposed sticky area, we might as well use that rather than adding any additional glue. So part of the liner I've got there, I'm just going to cut a section of that out. And we'll just pop it down on there. There you go. Find the other bit. All right, I'll just get that ready. So as long as we've left an area exposed, it doesn't really matter what shape it is. As long as there's an area, we can pop down the centre. There we go. So we'll just smooth that down nicely. And then we've got a piece of spare paper there. It's folded in half. And then obviously sticky side up. Then we take our nice yellow flock. And then our magical weapon, which is a sieve. Now this means that the flock goes on really nice and smoothly. So we'll just sieve it all over the shape. Put it nice and liberally, because most of this will go back in the pot. There we go. So that looks gorgeous already. So then literally press the flock into the sticky roll. So press, 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 and then rub. There we go. Now with darker colours, I would recommend, darker colours of flock, I would recommend using a similar coloured card. Now you don't have to, and some colours of flock seem to go on better than others, but it just means that you get a very, very beautiful even coverage with far less patchy bits and less time building it up. So yellow is one of those colours that goes on absolutely beautifully. And I do like to use white cardstock just to show you how well it covers on white. If you don't want to spend quite so much time rubbing and patting, then definitely coloured cardstock is the way to go. Like I said, especially with the darker colours, it's a good idea. Right, so now that's covered. So if you give it a little pinch, if there is any sections that you're like, oh, I'm not quite happy with that, literally just go back over, pat, 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 rub, 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 give it a press. And I give it a good flick from behind. There we go. And then all of that beautiful flock just goes straight back in the pot. So, there we go. And there we have, see, very little used. Just that. Now then, with all this, what I like to do is if I do have some scraps of sticky roll, I find that is a very good way of cleaning up any flock that's got on your cutting mat. So don't just press it down, sort of like hold it to the side at a bit of an angle and just rub over. So you don't have to clean it up like this. You can just use a good old cloth if you want. There we go. So I did do the other one previously, and as you can see, I left a little gap there, and that's just so I can pop one on top of the other without using any additional glue. Just in the meantime, next we're going to do the little tendrils, because that is pistachio flock and that is spring green glitter. And I do find that it's a beautiful combination, those two colours. So let's get on to that. And then we'll glitter our tendrils and our centerpiece. So again, we're going to need our nice piece of scrap paper and our craft knife. So we just need to lift the liner. So again, I like to give it a quick burnish before I lift, and this makes it easier to lift the liner. There you go, lovely and easy. So it's just a little bit of a knack. Once you've practiced a few times on some shapes, it's really easy to lift the liner. Obviously, the more intricate the shape, the harder it is to peel the liner off. But on things like this, it's quite simple. There we go. So then we just pop that down there. We get our pistachio flock out. And of course, our little sieve again. So on we go with that. So again, all over. So this is one of the paler colours once it goes on. But again, we just build it up. There we go. So just press it all in. Press, press, press. It's very relaxing applying flock, especially when you're not getting sticky fingers from it. You can use wet glue to apply flock, but obviously it takes a lot longer to dry and you wouldn't be able to press it in like this. You would just have to sprinkle it over the top and then just let it dry. We don't want to be letting things dry. We want it immediately. There we go. So just keep going round. And I think I've got, there you go. So press, press, press. Nice little flick from behind. Get rid of any excess. There we go. Lovely. Pistachio, lovely green, fresh green colour. So we just pop that back in there again. There we go. And again, it hardly uses any. Right. So we have that one to cover. Just pop this little one to the side. Now, with the centre of the sunflower, I've just cut out all of these pieces. So you can get the sunflower and the tendrils as a nice little SVG. And then we just take the liner off each of these shapes and then just build up the centre like so. So obviously, because sticky roll on each piece, you won't need any additional glue to glue them together. And the remaining exposed sticky areas will be where the glitter sticks to. So I've just done that with these already. And then we just have the remaining piece on the top to pop on. So again, I'm just going to cut this one down the middle just because it makes it a little bit easier. So, like I said, just cut through the liner, not through the whole piece of card. Then we just lift it up by popping our blade underneath the where it's cut, and we just peel that away. There we go. And we just pop that down into the centre. Now, I don't know if you can quite see the different layers. Oh, there we go, in the shadow. So it's all layered one on top of the other. And then we're going to get another piece of scrap. And then we've got our lovely bronze glitter. So it's such a beautiful colour, this. It's absolutely gorgeous. There we go. So with the glitter, it's pretty much the same as applying flock. Just tap it all over and then give it a good rub. So with these glitters, they're all ultra fine glitters. So sticky roll, you can stick any glitter you want to it, the chunkier stuff, the finer stuff. So whatever you've got in your cupboard, make sure you get it out and you get popping it on your sticky roll. But I prefer the ultra fine stuff, and they do give absolute gorgeous coverage. I mean, look at that. It's absolutely stunning. Give that a little tap. And then what I do is I get my glitter brush and then we give it a good rub. That gets rid of any excess glitter and the rest just stays where it should. There we go. And then just like the flock, the rest goes back in the pot. Give that back in there. Can't have any waste going on here. So the lid back on before I have a terrible accident. And just pop that to the side. And then, of course, we have our spring green glitter to do. So I'm over in Shrewsbury in Shropshire in the UK. So if you're ever around my neck of the woods, turn that over, sticky rolls on that side. Be lovely to see you. Pop in. I'm about to start doing craft clubs, which should be lots of fun. I've nearly got the studio area set up, ready for people to come and have a play. There we go. Just pull that off. There we go. And then we're going to get our spring green glitter. And just like the bronze, it just goes straight over the top. There we are. Press it all in. And then a lovely little rub. This is one of my absolute favourites. I think it's just such a glorious colour and it just goes so beautifully with the pistachio flock and with all the other colours when you're making flowers. It's just absolutely gorgeous. So again, just give that a good brush and that just gets rid of any excess. There we go. And we know the drill by now. It all goes back in the pot. There we go. Lid on, because we know what we'll do. And again, if you've got lots of loose glitter, which you can't really see, there we go, lots of loose glitter there. Again, you can just give it a quick wipe with a cloth, or again, there's my bit that I cleaned up the flock with. I've just peeled it back over. And again, that's really good. It's just getting rid of a bit without it going all over your carpet, all over you. I do love my glitter, but you don't necessarily want it all over your trousers. Right, so there we have those two and those two. And then we've got our lovely pieces our lovely petals to do. So if we just pick this piece up here, this liner. Oh, I've taken that one off already. Just these two here. There we go. Now I'm going to pop down at the centre first. There we go. And then we have this bit, so let's just line the petals up nicely. And that gets pressed down firmly there. And there we have our beautiful centre. So just bring those petals up. So that gives it all the beautiful dimension. Oh, I love this one. Always makes me happy seeing this. I don't know if it's just the colours or the fact it's a sunflower. Right, so now we just need to assemble our card, and I need to make a piece, cut a piece of card for there. And then I think, why not, we'll go the whole hog and I will cut out a sentiment to stick on the front, because this one didn't have a sentiment. But I think a nice with love would look absolutely beautiful. So let's have a look here. So if I pop that down on there first. So as you can see, I put my arrow which way up it needs to go. So I've just got a little bit of finger lift here. So quite often if I'm feeling a little bit lazy, I will use sticky roll on the back. It depends what mood I'm in. A bit of finger lift does just the job. So again, with finger lift, it's like sticky roll. The more you've burnished it, the easier the liner will come off. And I think that's the mistake a lot of people make. They just think, oh, I've popped it down, I should just be able to, it'll be just as easy. But just that bit of a burnish makes all the difference to that liner coming up. There we go. So making sure I've got my arrow the right way up. So just line it up there. It's just a good old bit of gold mirror card. There we are. Now, that piece that I used before, that I put sticky roll onto before, there's the back. So I'm just going to use that on here. So now I'm just going to go and get my paper trimmer, which of course I've left over there. So now I'm going to make a video on this because I think it's useful knowledge. People quite often get upset is the wrong word. It can be quite hard to line up your card. And a lot of people are like, I can't line up my card. It's too hard. I'm always getting wobbly edges. Now, this can mostly actually be solved. The problem isn't you, believe it or not. The problem is quite often that the card is cut by machines. They have a margin of error, and quite often they are not exactly square. So when people look at their piece of card on a squared measurements, they see that it's like wonky and it's wider here and narrower here. And they think, well, I've cut my card, but the problem is they're trying to cut it alongside their grid lines on here. And if the card was never perfectly square in the first place, then they're going to struggle with that. So I'm just going to make sure I've squared off my piece of card properly. So I don't have the biggest paper trimmer here. So what you need to make sure is that you've trimmed one edge and then use that edge as the guide for the rest. So go along there. And then just by trimming the edges before you even begin to try and measure your card, and making sure it is a perfectly square piece of card, or that the corners are perfectly squared, then you can make sure that every time you do measure your card, then it is in perfect alignment and it is perfectly measured, and then you won't get one end of your card narrower than the other. I'm sure I could have said that in a far better way. So I just do mine by eye. There we go. And again, just pop it in. Just cut where I've marked. There we go. And that moved a little bit. Just because I've got sticky roll on the back and it slipped a touch. There we go. So there we have. And make sure I've got this the right way. So there we are. And I know it's that way. So again, just burnish the corner and then that should lift up nicely. There we go. So I want to remember that it's that way up. There we are. So I'll just peel the liner off there. So you can just pop the sticky roll around the edges, or as I did before on the Miri card, just put a bit of finger lift tape on, or if you prefer your wet glue, I'll just put that down and smooth it over. A nice sunflower there, so we'll just arrange that. There we go. So I've popped just the flocked tendril in front of the glittered one. There we go. There we are. So I think I've actually made this sunflower a little bit bigger than that one. So you're seeing a little bit less of the tendrils. That's fine. In fact, I think I'm just going to do what I've done with this one and just, yes, I've done them that way because I want to pop the sentiments in. So it's going to pop there. There we go. So that's the good thing about the SVGs. You can make all the different elements of your card, whatever size that you want. And there we go. That's how we flock and glitter that gorgeous sunflower. So I'm just going to go through how to pop sticky roll on the back of the sentiments and then apply them to your card. And then I think we'll be done and I'll be very happy with our first Flocktober project. So let me just get my dies. So we're just going to pop a nice little with love on there because it's nice to send things with love, isn't it? Then we'll take our piece of Miri card. So we don't need a whole piece of Miri card here. So we're just going to measure out how much we need. So take my knife. So we want to give ourselves a little bit of wiggle room. I'll just cut that off there. And I haven't quite snipped through. And we're going to take our sticky roll. Just move my tools. And it's going to pop a piece of Miri card straight down onto here. So there we go. Just put it straight down onto there. Again, cut around it using your knife. There we go. Wind it up. And just give that a good burnish. There we are. Just going to move these over. We're going to get our die cutting machine out. Yeah, a bit close for comfort there, I think. So just pop that way. Now, this is quite a thick piece of mirror card. So I'm going to run it through a couple of times, but I do know with this one that you need if you want the die to cut all the way through, then you need a shim under it. But I don't really mind if it doesn't cut all the way through, because it's doing the job for you then, because it's going to take the liner off as you take it away from the card. There we go. I'll just put that down there. And there we have them. So there we go. See, that's done the job for us because the liner's remained in the card. Just pop that on there. And just take this out. See, the main thing is that it cuts all the way through the card. So I just wanted to show you on a piece that it didn't cut all the way through, just to show you that it doesn't really matter, because like I said, it's just done the job for you. It's removed the liner for you without you having to try and picket it. But again, I did test this earlier, and with just a piece of card on top, it did cut all the way through. So I'm going to take the card. So this is the original card. It's just got a little bit more room to pop your sentiments. And you just see just how much easier it is to stick down sentiments with sticky roll rather than with wet glue, because that would take me ages faffing away trying to dot on the back, and then pop it down and your glue seeps out the sides anyway. And with this, it's applied mess-free beautifully and dry immediately. And there we go, an absolutely gorgeous sunflower card. So the ones we've just done, a little bit bigger. And there's the absolute completed version. So I really hope you have a go with using flock with sticky roll and obviously sentiments and all. So hope you really enjoyed that. I'm really happy with it, and I'm really pleased to finally be saying hello to people on YouTube live. And yes, I'll be back with another Flocktober project, and I'll give you a heads up when that is. And thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. If you like any of the products, then head on over to wildspiderdesigns.com, and you'll be able to find all the flock and the glitter and the tools and the sticky roll there. And if you've got any questions, then please get in contact. I'd love to help you, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.